What's up, guys? Welcome back. This is Aggressively Average Podcast, episode number 12, I want to say. Not entirely sure. If you didn't catch the last episode, it was about a week or two ago. I talked about a bunch of different rap music and a bunch of music that I've been listening to. Some upcoming artists that you may not even know of. Went and talked about some of the artists that are on the top Spotify charts and a bunch of different music types within the genre of rap and SoundCloud and what I think about SoundCloud and stuff like that. So if you're really interested in rap music and stuff like that, be sure to check it out. I honestly think it was a pretty good episode. But I sort of want to explain a little bit of my absence for the past week. This past 2 weeks has been absolutely fucking crazy. And I just want to preface this by saying this might be a little bit of a shorter episode. So I'm sorry if, this episode really isn't that long. I'm sorry, I just haven't had that much thought put into this. And also, if you're watching on YouTube, you may notice there's another computer like right here. Another laptop, and I normally record with a laptop in front of me. So I'll touch on that before I start going into some other stuff. So I bought this laptop. It's like the old classic Mac, the first ever Mac laptop that was ever made, just a regular MacBook. I've never owned a Mac before. I grew up playing PC, grew up playing like video games on PC, doing everything on PC, learning everything I learned now on a PC. And so I was like, I'm gonna try Mac out. My friend has like the old classic Mac, and I was like, what, dude, I'll buy it off you. And he sold it to me for like $20. So now I have a Mac, and I don't know how to use it. That's what kind of sucks about growing up with a PC, is that you're never really exposed to Mac. Like, I got my first iPhone when I was like, I think a sophomore in high school, and now I'll probably never go back to Android. But that's a whole different debate for a whole nother podcast. That being said, something really, really crazy has happened to me within the past, or a lot of crazy stuff has happened in the past 2 weeks that sort of should be addressed. So let's back up about 2 weeks ago. I'm going to open up the last podcast right here. One sec, just to get the date down. The last episode I uploaded was exactly 2 weeks ago. So there's a reason for that. So I think this was on a Thursday, maybe exactly 2 weeks ago. Yeah, so it was a Thursday. So Thursday, uploaded the podcast, all good. Friday rolls around, go out, whatever, do whatever. Saturday comes around, and we're hanging out, we're having a good time. And, we're out at this party, me and a couple of friends, and we're out having a grand old time. And the party ends up closing out. Like, it starts getting pretty late. I think it was like 3 or something in the morning. Gets super late in the evening, and one of my friends was like, all right, it's time to go home. So we're like, okay, we're going to go walk around for a little bit downtown. We hung out for a little bit, and we were just like, all right, it's time to go home. Let's drive back. The guy who was driving, by the way, was sober. Don't drink and drive. Please don't ever drink and drive. It's never smart, never cool. So that being said, we were getting in the car, getting ready to go. He was driving, and we like to do this thing where we're just like, fuck it, we're not tired. Let's go like cruise around or something like that. And so we're cruising around, driving around, having a good time. And we're driving, and we go out in like the country-ish side. There's not really a countryside to where we're from, but we end up driving around, and I don't know what happened. I think my friend maybe fell asleep. Maybe we slid in I don't know. We weren't paying attention. I ended up passing out, like just sleeping in the car, in the passenger seat. And my friend, I don't know. I don't want to blame him at all. Nothing was his fault. Somehow we hit like maybe a muddy patch or piece of black ice, I don't know, something we didn't see, and the car ended up flipping and rolling multiple times. So that was absolutely insane, just to know that I was a part of that. And something that adds a whole nother level of complexity to this is that, like, I wasn't wearing a seatbelt. Like, we were just driving around, and I was like, it'll be fine, which is also not cool. Don't ever do that. Don't ever not wear your seatbelt. Seatbelts are always really smart. And so the car flipped and rolled multiple times, and my friend woke me up. He found me, like, he told me he woke up in the car, like, reached over and like tried to find me in the passenger seat and couldn't find me. And he was like, what the fuck? Like, what's going on? So he hops out of the car, and he notices that I'm just like sleeping in a ditch, like 10 feet away from the car. And he just shook me. He was like, dude, wake up. And I was like, dude, what? Like, what's your problem? I had no idea anything happened, which is absolutely remarkable. Like, I have no idea. I'm absolutely blessed to know that I'm not like have any permanent damage. Like, if you guys can see on YouTube, I'm perfectly fine. I'm repping a lot of Idaho today. If you guys haven't noticed, if you guys are on the YouTube side of things, I'm repping a lot of Idaho. Go Idaho, am I right? But yeah, he ends up finding me like 10 feet away from the car, and he's like, dude, what the fuck, wake up. And I was like, what the hell just happened, dude? And he tells me the whole thing, like, car flipped and rolled or whatever. And I was like, no way. I didn't believe him. And I was like, you're kidding me. Because I must have like slept, blacked out. I don't really know. Maybe my mind just doesn't want to remember it. I don't know, but I walked away from it with pretty much next to no injuries, which is a freaking miracle, which will tie into what we're going to be talking about in a minute. But so it was an absolute miracle, and I literally have no idea what happened. So, we ended up, my friend lost his phone, my phone was dead, so we ended up walking to this random person's house at like 4 in the morning, banging on the door, having them call the police, and everything's like sort of a blur. I was still, a little bit, still caught in the party scene from earlier, and that person ends up helping us out, calling the cops, and the cops ended up giving me a ride home and stuff like that, and I went to the hospital in the morning. So let's fast forward a little bit to that following morning when I woke up. So my friend was like, he's perfectly okay. He doesn't have any major damage. He had some bruises, whatever, a little beat up, a little bit of an emotional like toll, I guess I might have taken, and the financial toll of the car and stuff like that. But yeah, so I wake up that morning in a lot of pain, can barely move, and I'm like, oh shit, like I can't move. I called some people and got arrangements, and I got a ride to the hospital, where then they took some x-rays of me. They like checked me out, like see if I was like okay, if I didn't have any if I didn't get like a concussion or anything like that. So they were just checking me out to make sure I didn't like have anything big wrong with me. And then I got some x-rays done, and the only thing that really was wrong was that there was a minor separation between the bone and my shoulder. I think it was like a 1st degree. Hold on, let me see if I have it right here. Yeah, here, I got it right here. So it says you've been diagnosed with the AC joint injury. It's also called the separated shoulder. It's where the muscle joins the clavicle. It's only hit when you hit your shoulder super duper hard, or just falling. And it was a 1st degree. It could be 1st, 2nd, or 3rd degree. 3rd obviously being the worst, depending on how bad the ligament's injured. So pretty much all they did was gave me some like pain medication, threw me a sling, gave me some ice. And they were like, all right, just ice it, take your medication, and you should be good within a couple weeks. And I was like, what? That is crazy. You got to be kidding me. Like, I am so freaking fortunate and so just absolutely blessed to know that, like, the collision was absolutely insane. If you're watching on the YouTube side, I'll put a picture of it right here. And the crash was absolutely insane. I'm very blessed, very fortunate to know that I walked away with pretty much next to no injuries. Absolute miracle. I worried a bunch of my family, which I'm sorry for that if you're listening from the family. But yeah, if you're one of my friends that was listening to it, listening to me tell us, they were like, holy shit, like they couldn't believe it. It was absolutely insane. And so yeah, hold on, I'm gonna pause this real quick. The camera battery's about to fucking die. Yeah, so all my friends and family were super worried, and I'm so just absolutely blessed to just walk away with next to no injuries and stuff and just so absolutely blessed. Sorry, the camera battery just died right now. I've been charging these batteries. Like, I just leave them on the charger, and I guess they just decided not to work. Don't really know what happens. Hopefully we don't have to switch them out again and really have to address that. This happens like every fucking episode, I swear. But yeah, so that left me with a little bit of an emotional like toll, a little bit of an emotional hurting. I was kind of just in shock for the next couple days, absolutely just astonished that I walked away with no injuries. It was absolutely a miracle, and I like I said, I really I don't know what to say. I don't know who to thank and stuff like that, and it was just an absolute miracle. So it's absolutely one of those things that when something really dangerous or something really big happens to you, like a life-threatening event happens, it sort of like makes you step back and think about it. So I was doing that for the next week, and it was just sort of just dealing with all the emotional toll that it really had on you. And it sort of just woke me up and made me realize like I wasn't doing a lot of things right. Life wasn't really going the way I wanted it to, like just in terms of like myself and like stuff like that. So I decided just to take it as a really big learning lesson, just a lesson to learn from, and really just take away just to do things a lot better and like be a lot happier and be a lot more positive, have a lot better outlook on life. There's a lot of people around me that really helped shape that opinion, or not opinion, but that mindset around me that I'd like to thank for that as well. That being said, ever since that happened, I've just been in absolutely the most wonderful, most positive, like best out of body feeling happiness I've felt in a really long time. Like, whenever something really, really good happens to you, like you feel good, but then you're just like, I don't know, like you don't feel like you want to get up and dance good, but you're like, I feel good. I feel like the other side. Like, I feel like I'm like, woo, like I'm ready to get up and dance at just like everything. So like I'm trying to like take this negative situation and turn it into a positive. And a bunch of stuff kept piling up, and another situation happened which I don't really want to address on the podcast. But yeah, but I just want to take this positive or take this negative situation and turn it into a positive, because like I said, it's just something to learn from. And I think we could all take away a little bit something from that, just not to take life for granted. And you are only given one life, so be sure not to make it like too negative, or to be too negative about small things. I don't really want to turn this into like a total life lesson, because I have no experience when it comes to talking about things of life. I don't really think I've lived enough life for me to feel like I should dish out a lot of moral, like, I don't know, a lot of moral, like, judgment or whatever. I don't know, just something to, like, I don't think I should be able to dish it out. That being said, guys, I'm going to cut the episode off here. I know this really wasn't a long episode. I want to apologize for that, but this has been the craziest week, at least the past 2 weeks of my life. And, just so you guys know, I didn't really say this, but I'm pretty much back to normal, 99%. I'd say probably about 90% back. My shoulders are still a little bit sore. I'm just, it just takes a little bit of, physical therapy to just, get everything back together, get, my strength back, and I finally worked through all the mental part of it, and I'm in an absolute, probably the happiest state I've been in a long time. So that being said, guys, thank you guys so much for listening. I'll be sure to output another episode sometime soon. I'm gonna be writing. I'm not even going to say this, but that being said, guys, thank you guys so much for watching this episode of the podcast. If you did enjoy this episode, be sure to follow if you're a new-time listener. If you're a long-time listener, be sure to leave a comment on what you enjoyed and how you sort of like felt about the whole thing. Oh, one other thing. There was going to be an episode on Tuesday of last week, right after the crash happened. I forgot to address this. There was going to be an episode on that Tuesday that I shot with Patrick. If you guys remember, back on the 3rd episode of the podcast, I brought my friend Patrick Hunter on. Absolute good guy, smart guy, good conversational guy, good guy. If I say guy one more time, he's a good guy, good friend of mine. And we shot something, and it wasn't really like the best work that we could have done, and I sort of felt like it was just like an episode just to upload, and I didn't want to just upload an episode just to upload it. I wanted to make it good, make it quality. So that's why there was another delay in the length of the episodes I forgot to address earlier. But yeah, that being said, guys, be sure to keep an eye out for the next episode. Thank you guys so much for listening to the podcast. Thank God I'm alive, and be sure to not take anything for granted, and have a good rest of your day. Thank you guys so much for listening. Goodbye.